Hello, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. I need a stand for my pool cues, and I've got this small little section against the wall here which I'm going to be making a cue stand for. As you can see, there's a plug there, so I've got to work past that plug. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to measure the length of the wall that I need. As you can probably see, I've got to build my stand a little bit higher than that brown mark because that's where the floodwaters came up to, and that's the 5th time we've been flooded, and that's why I have to make a new cue stand. So I'll be making that just a little bit higher than the floodwater mark. I'm using a piece of pine which is 8.5 centimeters wide, and the distance of my wall is 66 centimeters, and what I'm doing is I'm measuring from top to the bottom there. I'm measuring this part in by 9 centimeters, and then I'm going to be cutting that off on both sides. I'm just checking to see that it fits nicely. I'm quite happy with where it's sitting, and now I'm going to do the next step. I'm going to be using this drill bit to drill the holes into my wood. So I've measured them out, and I'm going for a distance of 7 centimeters between each of the holes that I'm going to be drilling, and I'm making my cue stand to hold 6 cues. So I've attached my bit to my drill press, so it makes it just that much easier to get the holes in the same place. Drill all the holes in, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of the sawdust and mix it with some PVA glue and just fill the little hole in the centre of each of them, and then just give it a little bit of a sand to make it nice and smooth. I'm using this Bondcrete woodworking adhesive, and I've just put a wee bit of glue there, and I'm just going to use some toothpicks to mix it all together to put into the holes, because I don't need an awful lot, so I've taken the really fine stuff that I'm going to be just putting into close up those wee holes. I've set my router up so that it's only half blade up, and I've put my fences in place, and what I'm going to do is only on the side that is facing outward, so the one that goes against the wall I'm leaving flat, but the one that's on the outside here I'm going to be just routing a small groove on these 2 angled sides and on the front. So I've used the router and cut off this small section here, and now I'm going to just give it a quick sand. To make my holders for my cue sticks, I'm just using the tops of a soft drink bottle, and I'm cutting them down so that I'm cutting this small section out of it and making it flat at the back so that I can put it underneath my miter cutter, and then I'm just cutting through to make a hole like that. So I've cut this little square here so that my miter can go through and leave something to hold on to. So, and then we're just going to slice through there with the miter. Now I'm going to take a fine tooth saw or a hacksaw and just cut this top part off. Once you've cut them all off, just give them a light sand at the back to take off any of the rough edges. Now what I'm going to be doing is I'm taking 2 pairs of pliers, and I'm going to use a heat gun, and I'm going to melt this section here so I can turn it out. So that's what the little piece looks like now that we've shaped it. Now just do all 6 of them. I've shaped all my little pieces, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this gloss black and I'm going to spray just the outside of them. For my championship ball decoration, what I've done is I've taken one of the dog's balls that was broken and cut it in half, and now I'm going to just paint that with Mars Black. It's just an acrylic paint. So I've just painted it and put it on top of an aerosol can to dry. The black paint is dry now, and now I'm going to spray them with this satin gold, just on the outside again. For my championship board, I've just bought this little plaque, and what I've done is I've just taken a spare piece of wood and I've drawn like a scroll of some sort on it and just cut it out and sanded it, and now we're going to be painting that black. My little rubber ball is now dry, and now what I'm doing is I'm taking a plastic bottle that I've just cut the top off, and I'm going to be placing it over the center of my ball like that, and then I'm going to be using gloss white. Now when you do this, just do a very light coat so it doesn't run down the ball. So holding it in the position that you want it to be in, hold it firm and just give a light spray. You're doing it very lightly to start off with, and then we'll put it on again and do another 3 coats. I've done the 3 coats on it now, and it's ready to be painted with the next step. I've painted my little scroll black, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this gold acrylic paint and I'm going to paint it the outside edges gold. I've painted the outside edges of my little scroll gold, and now I'm just going to add some details to the side pieces. I painted the plaque in Mars Black, and what I'm doing now is I'm taking the gold paint and I'm just painting the inside ridge of my little plaque. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to paint the number 8 on the ball, and I'm using this really tiny little brush to paint the number. I don't have a vise, so what I've done is I've put it inside a clamp and just raised it up on some pieces of wood so that I can drill the hole. So what you're going to do is you're going to drill a hole right in the center of the little gold piece that we painted. I'm going to be using this all-in-one, and this one is called Mutique Gloss. So it's a stain and gloss or varnish all in one, and I'm going to be just doing the 2 pieces of wood in that. I'm just going to be applying it with a sponge, and I don't have to wash brushes afterwards because this is clean up in turpentine, so I'm just using the sponge to sponge it all on. I'm only going to be putting 1 coat on because I don't want it to be too dark, and I'm not painting the insides of these little things, little recesses either. I've got some scrap EVA foam which is just taken from a yoga mat, and I've taken the same cutting tool that I used to cut the recesses out in the wood, and I've just marked it on my EVA foam, and now I'm going to be cutting 6 of those out, and I'm cutting them at an angle, so holding my scissors at a 45-degree angle when I cut so that I can get a beveled edge on the sides. So I'm going to cut the 6 pieces out like that. Then I'm just taking the little discs that we cut out of the EVA foam and putting it on top, and just going to squash them in so that they fit in nice and snug. So sorry about this, my camera didn't film any of this, so what I did was I just put the line across there in a small little curve to make the scroll look a little bit more 3D, and then I just wrote champions on it. And the next thing I did was, these are just personal decorations I put on. So I took a skewer and just broke it so that it gets a little triangle like that, and then I made some little cues out of the skewer bits as well. And that's what my little champions board looks like. And the other thing that I did was I screwed all the little pieces that hold the cue sticks onto it as well. For the base, just to raise it up off the floor, I've added some pieces of wood, and I've left a small lip so that I can now cut some hardboard, which I'm going to be putting on there and painting black, just to give it the illusion that it's floating. So there's my little cue stand completed. If you found this video helpful or you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Really appreciate it if you would subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.